Hey ho, and welcome to another episode of Dave's Garage, our second season. And this season is going to start out with a foreign car. That's right, folks, a car that's not made in America, but was made in Japan back in the 90s. So we're going to go two new venues here, the 90s and foreign cars. The previous shows have been exclusively on American cars as far as I can recall, but this one is going to go into the Subaru SVX of the mid-90s. Now, here's a car that when you find in Hot Wheels is a find indeed, because you're not really dealing with a car that was appreciated much here. It was sold here in the United States, and what it did, its main feature, besides building a sporty car for Subaru, which is not what you associate with Subaru then or now, except for the WRX. But this was the era of swoopy sport coupes, and this was a super soupy sport coupe. We have on our phone today Inchikaho Nakito from Japan that was part of the team that styled this. And what he told me before we got on the air today was that the main, or one of the main things that they had to do on this was the window within a window. Show cars, since the 70s or so, had window within a window styling. It was going to be the way of the future. It's going to be ultimate aerodynamics, and you just open this little tiny window, and from that window you paid your tolls, or whatever you needed to do. Shook the hand of your neighbor, or passed out whatever you had to pass out the window. But and also gave a lot more window area. Shahida, let me have you talk for yourself. How was it styling this car for you? Well, first of all, David, thank you very much for having me on show. I'm a very big fan of American car, and when I designed this car, I designed for American market, and I wanted America oof and spoof for it. You might have had trouble saying that, but even in Japan, I now have trouble because I believe in this. Plus, it was not my culture. It's culture I aspire to. So I designed a car which I thought would look very good in America and would also look good in Japan. I don't think we plan on selling too many in Europe, but it turned out we didn't sell too many in America either. But it was an accomplishment for Subaru. It showed us that we should leave sporty car to Toyota Celica and Nissan 200SX, more so than to Subaru. But nowadays, you drive this car and people say, what you drive? And now, here's what I did with the car that made it very, very exciting to me. You'll notice headlamps are flush. It's got some flares over the wheels a bit, and the tail lamps are wrap around, which is a big feature. Got spoiler on back, even little windows in the rear. Door handles are nicely done, creased down side, and it's got wheels that you would steal if you wanted to steal a good set of wheels, although we certainly don't encourage that. Now, we designed roof with black on top and white on bottom. Car is not strictly two-tone, but it has effective two-tone. So I think we had many bases covered. Also, the mirrors were very nicely styled in, and we put engine in it. I forget what engine we put in it, but we put engine in it that made it go pretty good. And, we had sunroof, but car no sell. And, just within a few years later, like with all car that no sell, we come out with another car that did sell. Excuse me, I just had lunch. And it was WRX. Now, WRX is big fanboy car. And, but I think that this got the ball rolling in the wrong direction, but it nonetheless has proven its worth because it's now a Hot Wheel. And when you get your car in Hot Wheel, it means that you did not completely fail, no matter how many you sell in the real world. I'm glad you got one, David, because only way you're going to get one. So tell me, my friend, did you ever know somebody that had an SRX? Well, Sahuji, that's a good point. I did. And it was back in the 90s, and he was a customer of mine on my extermination route. His wife owned a 300ZX Nissan, and he owned a this SVX, and it was a nice sight because you got into his garage and he had two cars that were notable, and they were also notable in the sense that you really had to have a penchant for them in order to really know about them. Aha! That's what we say. Penchant, no pendant, but penchant. Yeah, exactly. Not a pendant, but a penchant. Pension. Well, anyway, let's talk about the rest of this. I knew that man, and we never really talked about the car that much because, I'd go into his home, I'd spray for his bugs, but, I really didn't feel the familiarity to discuss his automobile with him. People get a little bit touchy about that. I mean, I wouldn't discuss the pants he was wearing. But, it's a very, very nice car. It was a two-door sporty coupe, the pony car generation of Japanese, which really flourished in the 80s, 90s, 200SX. Like we said, the Honda Prelude, and they went out of style pretty fast once the SUVs came in. People really wanted room. These cars were splashy and flashy, but they just didn't have the room. Now, as usual, I'm going to go over my car collection here. It's kind of expanded. The 82 Firebird, which we're going to have one of these days. The clamshell Buick, the Honda Civic, a replica of the car one of the first cars I ever owned. The GTO, the Vet, the Porsche, the Eldorado, and the Chryslers and the old Ford. But this Subaru, once I discovered it, I had to go through the archives, my back collection, and certainly enough, this came up. But I don't think I have all that much to say about the Subarus I have about some of the other cars. I mean, I think that it speaks for itself. But I think the really thing that it says is that most people, even though it's only 30 years ago, and the people that were around 30 years ago, adults my age, a little younger, a little older, just simply don't remember this car. And that's the beauty of automobile fandom, is that no matter how much attention you pay, you forget certain things and you get renewed with them, and it's like seeing an old friend again. So I can say, Mr. Hakashaki, I thank you. Oh, my pleasure. I talked to you from Tokyo. How things in America? Everything okay? Don't sound too okay, but you sound okay. Things in America are going well. I mean, they're not going well, but I mean, if you're sitting here where I'm sitting playing with your cars, you really have your head quite in the sand. So it's not the problem it could be. If I were watching news on the television set, it might be different. How's things in Japan? Things in Japan are pretty good. We hope we have, we had a tsunami a year ago, and that was no joke, my friend. So we kind of know what can happen from minute to minute, But Dave, your show is one of my favorite shows, even though I've only been broadcasting for 3 or 4 hours now. I've seen every episode, and I wish you the best, and I wish that you expand your collection and you share it with the world, because your knowledge of cars is very, very impressive, my friend. Well, Mr. Hishido, I couldn't have said it better myself, but if I did say it, it wouldn't have, it seemed a little less than humble. But anyway, thank you, sir. Thank you for being our first guest. And again, the classic, if not well known, Subaru SVX from the mid-90s. Thank you, folks. I would take you for a spin, but, it's not really the day for a spin. It's it's getting dark out, and I don't want to be asked a lot of questions about this car. So we'll keep it in, and people can watch the show and find out everything they need to know. I thank you, and we'll be back next week. So long, everyone.